Hey y'all, I'm Bernice Nash, your host of Good Gossip, brought to you by the Incognito Virtual Cast Network. Today we are coming to you with Emile Johnson. He is the CEO, founder, and owner of Good Foods. Mr. Emile Johnson, please introduce yourself.
Good afternoon. This is Emile Johnson, CEO of Good Foods, as Bernice just said, coming at you live from Lincolnshire, Illinois.
Oh man, you're bringing back memories for me, Emile. Like I said, I'm a Chicago girl, and when we moved from the Chicagoland area, we lived in West Dundee, which is not too far from Lincolnshire.
Absolutely.
And it's such a beautiful thing to see an abundant business out there and growing. And I know that area is very industrial. I want you to talk about Good Foods and what is your mantra?
Well, Good Foods is a company we're dedicated to good nutrition for our country. That's our mission. That's my vision. That's why I started this company. We make canned beans and vegetables, as well as baby food. The canned beans and vegetables are made under the trademark of Good Foods. It includes pinto beans, kidney beans, garbanzo beans, black beans, as well as black eyed peas, and the other one is butter beans. So you folks in Chicago, please be looking out. We're already on the shelf with those beans, 4 beans I just mentioned to you. In October, we will be introducing our new line of beans, black eyed peas, and also butter beans. In addition to that, we also have a line of canned vegetables, and that includes canned peas, green beans, corn, as well as mixed vegetables. Our baby food is Pick Select Fresh Baby Food. That is the trademark name of that product. It's on the shelves throughout the Chicagoland area, and that comes in various flavors, that apple mango that babies love, applesauce, apple berry blend, and various other flavors. But we're designed as a carry-on from mothers feeding, formula feeding, to transitioning to baby food. So it's a second stage baby food.
Wow, Mr. Emile, y'all got a lot going on. What I'll tell you is I wish I would have known about your product when my children were that age to eat baby foods. I want some of that mango apple that you're talking about there. What I'll tell you is for when my children were little, and my son, especially my oldest, he's 14, we made his baby food at home because we were nervous about what we were feeding him. Imagine grandma sitting there trying to blend up some herbs and foods and vegetables and fruit and all that to make sure he's eating well. I wish that, I knew that you were there, but now we know you're there. I'm going to be sharing that with all my friends, and I can't wait for you to get to the Memphis market. I know you mentioned that right now the baby food is only in the Chicagoland area. Is that right?
That is correct, as of today, yes. However, you can go to Walmart.com and buy all you want right online. So we are available in Memphis if you're willing to go to Walmart.com, and I believe if you're members, shipping is free.
Oh yeah, and they have fast shipping, y'all. So yes, it's definitely possible. I'm gonna share something with you, Mr. Emile. I was at the store in Memphis, and guess what I got? I had my babies there with me. I have a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old, and we were like, "Where's the Good Foods?" The grocer, he tried to show me something else. I said, I'm looking for Good Food.
Thank you. That's the consumer we want right there. No, you can't give me that other stuff. Give me the Good Foods. We love it. We love it.
That's right. And you know what I did? I came home and I made jerk chicken. I made rice and peas with this. And we're going to share a picture of it later on. It'll flash by us. But yes, it was delicious. And what I was looking for when I opened it, I cracked open this can. And I'm like, let me see the consistency, because I'm old school. My family's from Mississippi. So they grew up on a farm, and we believe in quality, especially produce. My uncles, when they moved from Mississippi to Chicago, they still had farms out there in the far reaches of Illinois. So we are devout. But anyhow, the beans, they were all whole, nothing smashed. There was no, you know how sometimes you'll have a lot of like fluid in the bean. No, this was mainly product. I was able to pour this in, and it looked like I had lightly simmered the beans for a long time and then poured them into that rice and made what I made. So I was thoroughly impressed, and I'll tell you, all that was gone. My husband, he came, and he's the champion eater. He came and he ate that up. So it speaks volumes about your product.
Well, I think one of the things you're trying to say is you didn't see a lot of husks that were broken on the beans. The beans were firm, as if, you
Yes.
know, as never like grandma made them. I will never try to compare my beans to grandma, but it's going to be as close as you're going to get, okay, without the
It was.
grandmas.
It was, and we're serious. I'll tell you, this family, we're serious about our food, and more recently, I'd say in the past 3 years, we've been really serious about what we put into our bodies and what the label says, because you lose sight of that trying to be a busy family and operate, and to have a convenience food item that cares about what's in it. Now, I looked you up, and I see that you have kosher and non-GMO product.
Absolutely.
That is beautiful. Talk about that for me, Mr. Emile.
Well, first of all, I honor all of my kosher friends by having, if it's an opportunity to have our products kosher, it's going to be kosher. We're going to make sure that that's a good feeding, a good way for them to feel comfortable about our foods. But not only that, you know, if you look at our cans, and you said as many consumers today are doing it, it's taking a look at the back of the label to see what's in that can, and it's as clean as you're going to get. I mean, you might see one thing in there like a firming agent. Everything else is water, the beans, and the product. No sugar added to any of our products. And that's so important to me, very important, because, you know, there's a certain amount of sodium that is essential to your diet, calcium, you know, protein, et cetera, et cetera. In a previous life, I've hired more dietitians and what have you. None of them could tell me the nutritional value of sugar in our diet, other than to cause diabetes, overweight, obesity, which is a disease.
It is.
So we felt, along with the USDA, and that's a very important thing I want to point out to you, every one of our products are approved by the United States Department of Agriculture for the highest level of feeding. In fact, they're all approved by the USDA for their WIC feeding programs, which is a Women, Infant, and Children program to ensure that mothers who are pregnant have a good diet, and the infants, when they're from 0 to 1, are given infant formula and all breast milk for mothers to develop them to 1 year old, and then from 1 to 5 years old, to make sure that kid is getting a level of diet that is nutritional and will help them develop both their metabolic development as well as their brain development.
Yes, Mr. Emile, food is so essential, and we don't realize a lot of times that it's fuel. We think that it's a function of life, which it is. We have to eat, but it's also essential that we put the right ingredients in our body. So I respect that you are bringing that to the table for women and children, because at the end of the day, that infant stage and that developmental stage within the womb is so important. And it's a game changer to the way that we function as human beings daily, and also how our habits form. And you being aware that sugar is not really essential. My family's a low carb family, and not that we don't eat carbs, we just realize that there are other groups of foods that are more essential. And it's a game changer. It's a game changer in your mental clarity. It's a game changer in your physique. And like you mentioned, having those right attributes like those proteins, those vegetable, those things change the way you live. And I love that you're bringing that to the community. Now, I have to ask, why did your family choose to bring these products to the market? We know part of it. You got to expound on it.
Well, I was sitting in my backyard one day, and the Holy Spirit came and said, Emile, go get some cans and put some beans in it. I'm just kidding.
You need to stop. I was into it too.
Well, it wasn't far from that, but I've worked with the USDA in my previous life. I've worked with feeding programs. As I told you, I hired nutritionists and dietitians and the nutritional parts of the pharmaceutical company I work for. And one of the things that we found and we knew that was important is that, we develop products, and I'm talking, when I say we, talking about good food, is that we develop products that customers need, and also that people are going to buy from me. Okay?
Yeah.
So if you recall about 10, 15 years ago, the our president, our beloved Chicago president, Barack Obama, his wife, Michelle Obama, implemented a program to try and get more nutritional food into particularly schools. I think it was called the MOVE Project. And one of the things that she wanted to do was to make sure that sugar in our diet was lower for these kids. At that time, the point was that the levels of juvenile diabetes and obesity in the United States, particularly in the African American community, was at epidemic levels. So she thought by doing exercising and eating properly, and the one thing that she said, anyone that's getting feeding from the government, we're going to make sure that that's healthy feeding, that they're buying healthy and consuming healthy food. So one of the things that she implemented was a decrease in the amount of sugar in any of the school lunch programs. I heard you mention earlier the Chicago Public School graduate. And so the Chicago Public School with over 500,000 students who were being fed breakfast and lunch in the USDA feeding lunch program. That could be no more than 11 grams of fat. Well, of sugar, I'm sorry. So there's all this sugar frosted flakes and there's 33 grams of sugar per serving. So that was actually one of my first businesses, was supplying the Chicago Public Schools with foods that tasted good, but had less than 11 grams of sugar per the USDA guidelines for lunch programs that was implemented as a result of the First Lady saying that she thought they should do it. It's one of the smartest things they ever did. So, me having some contacts, I went and said, well, look, if I could find something like that, would you buy it from me? And for sure, they did. Great way to start a business, right? Serious. But unfortunately, I couldn't make any money. And making money in the food business is highly underrated. We need to make money. So we right after that, they decided we want to incorporate fresh vegetables and fresh fruit into these programs as opposed to processed foods. And one of the things they came up with was, vegetables, beans, and corn, and they wanted it fresh. But I had made a statement to some folks that, what about frozen vegetables? What about canned vegetables? For lots of reasons. In fact, once you can a product, the nutritional value stays in there a lot longer than the fresh value, because you're still in that nutrition up to 18 months. In some cases, we've heard 36 months. So lo and behold, yes. Lo and behold, about less than 6 months later, the USDA said, "Oh yeah, we're gonna implement the fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, plus frozen cans, frozen beans, and canned vegetables and canned beans." And so, Good Food, the idea was born.
Oh, I love that. I mean, you have to think, Mr. Emile, if we look back, root cause and stuff like that, your decision to bring this product to the market may have propelled many students to do better on tests, because you were supporting an initiative to reduce the sugar intake and the carb intake, or at least not the essential carbs, right, from the diet, which allowed them to continue on throughout the day and be more productive. So mind blowing. And unfortunately, I wasn't in the Chicago public schools when you came to the market, but I would have liked some nice, delicious, fresh food that is minimally processed.
Well, Bernice, what you're saying, I have no scientific data to support that. However, from your lips to God's ears, I hope you're right.
I 100% believe it. Like I said, when I went through my journey of switching from just a normal consumer of foods and actually focusing in on having a well-balanced diet, my mental clarity changed. And I know that happened for those students, because students, as kids, you're not really aware. A ho-ho and a ding-dong and nothing's wrong with those things. If in moderation, you can have a treat.
Sure.
But if that's the main part of your diet, it's a problem.
Yeah. So I hope I answered that question for you in terms of
you did.
Later on, the baby food became kind of the same situation. They decided to go to plastic from the bottles, the jars. I said, maybe this is an opportunity for us to try to do the baby food. And I had a little experience in that category. So we launched Pick Select Fresh about 4 or 5 years ago.
And I love the name, Pick Select Fresh. It just makes me feel like y'all picked that specifically for my baby, cut it up, blended it up, and hurry up and enclose it in a capsule or case so that it can be real fresh when they opened it up and consumed it. So I love that.
Oh my God, you got to do some commercials for us.
I should. I'd be obliged to, I'll tell you that much.
But I can tell you this, that, in regards to the baby food and the beans and all those things, it was very important for us to have a source, supply. And so I can't underestimate what our suppliers, all of our products, all of our beans, all of our vegetables are grown in the upper Midwest part of the United States, in Wisconsin and Minnesota, by cooperative farmers who have their farms over 100 years. They rotate the soil. They respect the soil. They respect the land. They don't over farm their land. And they've been doing this for 100 years. They have so much confidence in these families, like our family business. They have family farms that they, because of the cooperative nature of their relationships, they act as a big giant farm. And so it's really kind of, we talked about organically. All of this is organically supporting each other, here in the United States.
And that's a beautiful thing. I mean, and I'm particular. I love the fact that your label says product of the USA, right? That means so much, and it's close to you. So Wisconsin, Michigan area, all that, the Midwest, you think about it, that stuff's coming in on a truck. And like you mentioned earlier, the nutrition content kind of diminishes over time, but you're getting that immediately. You're processing it immediately. You know where it came from, and the soil quality. I'm gonna talk a little bit about it because I know a little bit about ag. Soil quality is essential. A lot farmers spend most of their money on fertilizer and certain inputs that are going to support their crop. And when you understand your land and you're able to maximize that crop, and growers are pretty particular about how well their crop comes out. It's kind of like how well you're dressed or how your house looks. They're very particular about it. So I love that you are specific in the way that you're doing that. That is beautiful.
Yes. It's interesting too that we've got to keep fighting that we can get sourced, and that the farmers are getting a fair market value for their products so they can stay in business, and that we don't get wiped out to the point where, quite frankly, we are not right now. It is manufacturers that are getting all their stuff from overseas. I'm not going to name any countries or say anything, negative, but because they're trying to do business too. But because of, the United States and we've got to protect our farmers in a way that gives them a fair value for what they're putting out there. And that's why when you open that can up, you saw quality in that can. It was love. That was farmers who have what did I say earlier? a labor of love about what you just alluded to it earlier, about what they're pulling out of the ground and feeding to the United States citizens.
Yes, it's game changing, and people don't realize that sourcing is everything. And keeping our farmers, we found out in the pandemic, during early stages of the pandemic, I shop at an international foods market here in the Memphis area. And it's insane because they get a lot of imports. And guess what? Those import shelves started to diminish. It maybe took 3 to 4 months. And I would go and there was like 1 can of chickpeas, I think, and it came from Egypt. And there's nothing wrong with getting products from Egypt, but we have to remember that we are crucial to our own supply chain. So I love the way that y'all are doing things.
Yes.
Now, I want to talk about family, because I know that family is big at Good Foods. You got to tell me, how does that dynamic work? And encourage those who are thinking about going into business with their family. What are the benefits?
Well, I could tell you this, that I'll start out that one of the reasons why I intended to start my own company, like I told you earlier, in my 20s and my 30s, but just didn't quite get there. We had a family and I had to raise them, and the prospect of, like you said, not having a job, income coming in while you're raising your family. When my kids got into high school, I realized that I wanted to spend more time with them. It was a telltale sign when one of the teachers told me that my daughter, they asked, "What does your dad do for a living?" And she said, "He gets on planes." And so I was traveling all the time. And I didn't realize, you're working, you're trying to make a goal, I didn't realize how much time I was spending away from my family. And when my son got into high school, he was a pretty good athlete. I wanted to watch him play more. And I said, this is the perfect time. This is the time for me to start my business, and I'll be right here. I'll be here overnight, and I can see him as every day, watch his games and be there with him and support him. And I hate to say this, but I'm not going to mention what company I work for, because then this may be detrimental to some of my ex-co-workers. But I was not impressed when a co-worker told me, "Hey, I wasn't at home for the birth of any of my children, and this is why because I was so dedicated to this company." Hey, did not impress me. In fact, it denigrated what I thought of them, because my thing is, you're working for your family. Your family's not working for this. And so it was important that I didn't fall into that quote unquote mode. And so that was a time for me to take the opportunity to do the things that I said I wanted to do for most of my life, and to start my own company. So that to give you an idea what family means to me, it starts right there. And then later on, my Andrew, who you met, Andrew Johnson, was in high school when I started this business.
Wow.
We had no idea what I was doing. All I know is I've seen Dad a lot more, and mostly at the games, so I really better play hard. But anyway, that's kind of a joke.
Oh man, but it's true. You know what? You made it into a joke, but it is so true. I'm at that stage where my children I have 1 in high school and 2 in grammar school. So when I attend their games and stuff, I remember the other day I was trying to stay out of one because my son's 7. If you've ever done 7-year-old football, there's not much happening there. They can barely figure out how to get onto the field, right? So
I bet your husband doesn't miss a game.
No, he doesn't. He loves it, and he's so involved. But for me, I'm like, I want to see where he's developed, and it's going to be an actual game.
Sure.
But what he said to me was, he's like, "You can come too and watch." And I said, "Okay, Mama's putting them shoes on, and I'm going out there to go watch you." But time is so important. I mean, you mentioned, yes, you have the capability of building the business and building your income, but having control of your time is so essential. And that's why most people choose to be entrepreneurs, because they get aligned at an organization and they realize that they don't have control over their time. They may feel that way when they're scheduling a meeting or consulting with folks, but realistically, you're on somebody else's timetable. And while you still have deadlines to be in business, you can be creative to beat those deadlines while still attending to the things that matter to you. I love it.
Well, I mean, we could go on for days about, the whole issue of self-determination. And I say to people all the time that, listen, when you start your own company, what you're doing is you're developing your own determination for what you want to be and how you want to be and how you want that company to run. And no one's telling you, no one's making decisions for you. You're making decisions that are, let's be honest, that's usually your best interest, okay, because it's your
right.
And so I encourage people that they're working at a job currently and they don't like what they're doing, or they think that, well, I should be paid more money for what I'm doing, and they can't get that. And if you're really as good as you say you are, if you think you deserve more money, then prove it. Go and do it yourself. If you go out there and you make it, and you can turn around and say, listen, you guys had a chance of this marvelous person to do everything for your company. You didn't take advantage of it. So I did. I invested in myself. And I'm taking advantage of it. So I encourage young people, anyone really, even people in my own company work for me. They come to me and say, hey, I want more money. I said, well, show me what you can do to make more money. And they said, well, I said, you go out here and you bring enough money in here, I'll change that name on the front of this building from Goode to your last name, okay? And I'll start working for you because, it's what you bring to the table. And we've got to be understanding of that. And sometimes many of us, especially in corporate America, and we're working for someone else, don't get a chance to prove what we can do. Maybe they don't believe that we can do what we said we can do. Well, doggone it. Leave. Go and show that you can do it well. Now, have some humility. You find out that, that $25 you were making an hour, and now you're working and you're making 15 working for yourself. You may have to come back with your hat in hand, but if you truly believe in yourself, go and do it. Go and do it.
That's right. Mr. Emile, what you described is a value proposition. If you believe that you are valuable, go attain that value. I love it. Now, you talked about a whole bunch of things from that holistic approach with your food business to the holistic approach with your family. Now, I know you have a personal holistic approach. Tell me about your morning soul care routine.
My morning routine. I'm probably up about 5 in the morning. 20 years ago, I would have told you this. 20 years ago, I probably was up at 5 in the morning, but I probably went to bed about 11 or 12. Today, I'm probably sleep by about 9. Okay? And I'm up at 5. First thing I do, and this is so very simple, is I make a list, both personal and business and otherwise. What is it that I have to do today? Don't just make a list. I write it down. And I print that baby out when I get to my office. It's on my desk. Print it out. And I start the day cutting off what I've done that. The next day, if what I had to do that was essential the day before, that goes back on the next day at the top of the list. And if I can't get it done that day, it goes to the next list. That pushes me and it drives me to get those things accomplished. I try to spend a little time with my daughter, with my wife, even just a half an hour for dinner. I love sports, so I'll watch your beloved White Sox. I know you're a big White Sox fan. I didn't have to mention that.
Oh my goodness. Look, can you sense by the colors I'm wearing? I'm just saying.
But they're doing so well right now. So that's just a lot of fun. So it's a kind of a simple thing. You go through a methodical process. I can tell you something else that I tell a lot of young people too. A lot of older people should be doing it, is that, at the beginning of the year, write out a goal. Write the goals that you want to accomplish for the year. I admit I don't do personal, But my business goals, I write them down. Also, in the parentheses in that, in each of one of those goals, how are you going to achieve this? What do you need to do to achieve those goals? And the second thing I do that's probably more important than the first, but can't do one without the other, is I share those goals. I share with myself, I write them and I put them on a wall in my office. This is what we're going to do this year. Does anybody in here think we can't do this? And almost everybody says yes. And anybody that says no, I say, okay, we won't do it. I'm going to tear it down because if we think we can't do it, it won't get done. So
That's true.
But the part about sharing those goals with others, that is the principle of, again, taking responsibility. Because now people are going to hold you. And I want people to hold me to it. You said you were going to do this, and you didn't do anything. That's just a lot of talk. And writing on the walls and messing up these walls, all those pins. But, it does put a little bit of, to you as a person, if you have any pride at all, that I got to get this done. So I told everybody I was going to do it. And there's a product to that. Is that the people who have your best interest in mind, if they see that goal and they're going to try to help you achieve that goal. Everybody wants to help achieve that goal. And I had a boss, I always say this all the time, in corporate America, I learned a lot of things. Now I'm kind of, tell me when I'm preaching too much, because
no, go ahead.
you learn number one, you can achieve anything in life that you want if you're willing to help enough others achieve what they want. Say it again. You can achieve anything in life that you want if you're willing to help enough others achieve what they want. It took me a long time to understand that. It was in my 20s when I first heard it. I was, my thought parroted back then. Well, what do I care what they achieve? Okay, I gotta go. I'm gonna go through these walls and make that happen. But you have to have a team. Everybody's got to be with you. And people have goals too, personal goals, business goals, whatever it is. We need to know what those are and help them achieve those goals. And if we can help them achieve those goals, they're going to help you achieve what you want. It's real simple.
That's right. It's cyclicals, and I tell everybody that success, money, even your mental health is. If you support people through their struggles, your struggles are supported. And people don't understand. People hold on to money, and they're, I can't give this or I can't do that, or they hold on to opportunity, can't tell anybody. Does nothing for you. Yes, you get that one-time success, but I want that unlimited success.
That's absolutely true.
So, Mr. Emile, you and your family are a testament to that. Just watching the way that you developed, and people. And I'm just gonna tell the folks a little bit about the timeline here. Mr. Emile and his family, Good Foods, they've been in business since 2003. That's a huge deal. It's 2021. We're almost 2022. In one of the harder industries, as he mentioned earlier, to make a living, because food has a low profit margin, very low, because there's so many people involved, there's so many things involved, and everybody needs a profit somewhere in that chain of commerce. So he's been strategic, he's been on top of it, and he's been intentional and inclusive and looking out for the consumer, not just his own pocketbook. So I absolutely love that. Now, I want to ask you a little bit about new products. Where do you see the company going, and where do you see it going shelf-wise?
Well, we talked earlier about the fact that we do black beans, kidney beans, which you have there in front of you, pinto beans,
yes,
garbanzo beans, and you mentioned earlier chickpeas you found at that international market. Well, now you're going to have chickpeas / garbanzo beans, and they're the same thing in the Memphis market. So make sure you get the Good Foods chickpeas, if you will.
You better believe it. Mr. Emile, I almost cleared off the whole shelf when I went there, and I had to refrain because I'm like, somebody else needs to try good food. So anyhow,
I love that. I would say that to you too if I saw you wiping it out.
Yeah, somebody, I try not to be greedy. Like I said, it's cyclical. If I can help to bless somebody, like with the toilet paper, if I can leave you a few rolls, later on, I'm gonna get some rolls, right?
We did that, dude. Most of us did it. Few were nutty, fighting over it, but we did that. We made sure that somebody else might need something too, We did that. Oh, by the way, we're going to come out, I think I mentioned to you, black-eyed peas and butter beans. So we're rolling with that for the end of 2021, 2022. You'll see that. There's some other things that I can't mention to you right now because my competition might be seeing this. So I was thinking earlier that you said we got to share our opportunities with people, only certain people. So I
that's right. Scope in your audience.
We're going to expand our baby food. We're going to expand into snacks. We've got some. And by the way, one of the things I didn't mention earlier, you asked me about, was Andrew. Andrew's joined us about 6 years ago. It wasn't his intention, I don't think, to ever work for us. I think, in fact, Andrew started his own business out of college. And he ultimately, came on board with us when he knew I needed help strategically and with marketing. And I was still doing things like they did in 1900s, whatever. And he said, no, you got to change that. And so he brought some great, fresh ideas. He brought a lot of energy. Our recent growth is, I'll be absolutely honest with you, is to Andrew and his energy and his determination. We met with some people this morning from down in Florida. And they asked, well, how did you hear about some people in our organization? And Andrew said, I just networked. I just kept going till I got to the right person. So, there's something about, and here again, I take my hat off to young people today. I'm telling you, they believe in independence. They believe in going out and doing whatever's necessary. It hurts my heart when I see the news and people, particularly African-American kids and young African-American people, portray them as, something negative. And when we have so many positives in our community, it's coming out. The truth will make itself visible. And Andrew's been a very, very integral part of our growth, and he'll be an integral part of our growth going forward.
Oh, I love to hear that. I'll tell you, Andrew, your entire family, because I've kind of looked at some pictures, y'all. I have infiltrated the internet because you are community outreach as well as a company that's supplying a quality brand, right? And y'all have a soul glow. That's my new thing. I told my aunt, you remember the Eddie Murphy movie, and everybody was spraying soul glow on their hair.
We love that movie.
Coming to America is what it's called.
Yes.
And I told my aunt this. I said, certain people, their soul glows imminently through their bodies, and y'all have a soul glow. That's what attracts those folks to Andrew. And he needs to continue on that mission. And like you said, that level of determination mixed with that soul glow. And plus, he's a nice looking person. Everybody likes to do business. I hate to, there's nothing wrong. Everybody's unique in their own right. But I'll tell you, growing up, my mother would say,
he looks okay.
He's a nice looking man. I'll tell you that. And you're a nice looking man too.
Oh, okay.
You know who you remind me? You know who you remind me of, kind of? You remember, is his name Bob Johnson, the BET founder? You don't necessarily...
Bob Johnson, yeah.
Yes, Bob Johnson. You don't look directly like him, but there's something about you that is very similar. I'm just saying.
Well, if I could be a 0.1% of what Bob Johnson is, I will be a success in my mind because he's an icon. He took the brand, he built it, he sold it, but he built a brand that was as good as any other network out there, ABC, NBC, Fox, whatever. He built it to that level, and he maintained that level all the way through his ownership. So kudos
Yes.
if you think. I hope you're saying you remind me of him in that manner.
Yes, that's exactly what I mean. And again, the soul glow. So I believe that we not only are connected physically, you're related to somebody. I believe that we all have soul connections to people that existed way before that soul entered into this body.
Well, I like that.
And that's just a personal
I'm going to
opinion.
write it down because that's going to be soul glow. I'll show you my next thing. Sorry. Sorry, I'm wrong.
Now, y'all are expanding tremendously, honestly. And I know you said you already had some chats with somebody out there in Florida, but folks want to know how to get your product if it's not available to them. I know you said Walmart. Tell us about other ways. Say if a vendor or a distributor was interested in connecting with you, how do they reach out to you?
Well, they could, obviously, we make ourselves available by, first of all, Andrew is a person they probably ought to reach out to. If they go to our website, www.goode.com, they can access us there through service@goodefoods.com or info@goodefoods.com or andrew@goodefoods.com. So we make it very easy if a distributor in a particular market, which I'm glad you just asked that question. I should have said that earlier. We have smaller retailers around the country that we can't, we ship in mostly truckloads and, at least 8 pallets per order. But if there's a smaller retailer, he can call up his distributor and say, hey, I want this in my store. Can you tell us where we can find it? They'll call us up. They'll get in touch with us. And trust me, we'll do everything we can to get them our product. Of course, the other way is, as you know, we're expanding into 13 markets. We should be in by the effective October 1 is the goal for one of our major retailers right there now, and that's Kroger, Detroit, Cleveland, Columbus, Ohio, Cincinnati, Ohio, Louisville, Kentucky, Memphis, Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee, Atlanta, Georgia, Dallas, and Houston.
Wow.
Virginia.
So Good Foods is going to be basically everywhere. I mean, I know you haven't named all of our continental United States, but my goodness, y'all are going to be everywhere, easily accessible. And I'm so excited for that growth and especially the quality of the product. I kid y'all not. Go check it out. If you are a fresh food, fresh bean, fresh produce lover, try Good Foods. It will simplify your day. It will give your family the nutrition that it needs, and it's locally sourced. You cannot replace that locally sourced feel. So y'all, I'm not kidding. Go there, and it's priced well. I think I paid $1 at my local Kroger for this. This is a great price bracket for what is being brought to the market. So don't be shy. Mr. Emile, Good Foods, Mr. Andrew for distributing. They are all supplying us with the very best. And if you're like me, you want your family to have the best things to support their upbringing, their growth, their development. Make sure that those kids are focused in school because they have the right nutrients in their body. And while I'm adding a little extra onto it, Mr. Emile, it's the truth. I know a little bit about food because I had to be forced to study it so that I can backtrack and learn how to eat better for my family, for my children, so that we can switch back to the way that I was raised to eat as opposed to the ways that I developed in eating being a kid in the inner city. Now, Mr. Emile, do you want to leave us with anything?
Well, I just want to leave you with, number one, congratulating you, Bernice, and your group over there and what you're doing in Good Gossip. I also want to encourage people who are listening to this podcast. If you have a dream, pursue it. Don't let anyone talk you out of it. People that are negative to what you want to do, get away from them. Don't hang around them. People get rid of them. People that are positive to them, embrace those people. Listen to them. I'm not going to say do everything they say, but listen to them, have them around you, because good vibes bring good success. And we have to encourage each other and be encouraged. And we can do anything we want in life.
Oh, that is dynamic. That is absolutely correct. We appreciate those words of wisdom from the CEO of Good Foods, Mr. Emile Johnson. Thank you for joining us today on Good Gossip. Have a great day. All right, y'all. I mean, was that interview with Mr. Emile Johnson, the CEO and founder of Good Foods, amazing or what? For all y'all entrepreneurs, if you weren't taking notes, I'm gonna need y'all to rewind that back, get you a pen and paper, and take notes. He's been in business since 2003, and he is operating in one of the most dynamic markets, which is the Chicagoland area. And they are doing it with success, and they are growing exponentially. If you are in the supply chain business or in business in general, he is essential to learn and grow from. And for y'all buying back the block, and you're buying a grocery store, you have a grocery store, a food store, put Good Foods on your shelf. I'm just saying, high quality, good quality. I made those rice and peas, y'all. I'm waiting for those butter beans to come to the market. I'm waiting for those black eyed peas, because I'm gonna tell you what, if they get here by Christmas time or the end of the year, oh, we're making a country meal at this house. But, before we leave you today, I want to make sure that we give you some financial wisdom, because I'm known for that. I was looking at the volatility of the market, and if y'all don't know, quadruple witching is happening right now in the market. That basically is the time period where a lot of contracts, so options contracts, are expiring. People are selling off their equities in the market, and that's causing the market to kind of tank. Right now it's up a little bit, but it's going to go down. And if you want to avoid that market volatility, there are insurance products that can help you with that, such as an insurance, universal insurance life program. Basically, it's called an IUL, y'all. An IUL is an insurance product that can change the game for you. Basically, it's tied to an index. It provides a death benefit, a living benefit, and the great thing is most of them are designed to provide chronic and critical illness care benefits. So say if you're critically injured or chronically injured, based on the definition of what the policy outlines, you will still get a wage. You will have a certain amount of benefit, and it'll be defined by the policy of what you get back. The nice thing is that when you're paying your premium, your policy is saving for you. It's tied to an index. It's growing for you. And they have minimums and maximums. So when you sign that policy, it'll tell you this is the expected growth. And this is the potential growth. So you'll have your minimum, which is your expected growth, and your potential growth is what the market could do, because we all know the market is volatile. But the beautiful thing is you don't suffer from any of the decreases in the market. So when the market tanks, you're not going to get depreciation on your equities. Your underlying asset will not decrease, and your underlying asset is your premium. So anyhow, if you don't know about an IUL, you need to know about an IUL. Get you an IUL. It's essential, because what do I always say, y'all? You are the key man in your life. Invest for it. It was great seeing y'all today. Thank you for joining me, Bernice Nash, your host of Good Gossip on the Incognito Virtual Cast Network. Thank you. See y'all.